So, you want to play the levels of the community. That's awesome! I'm looking forward to it. But before you jump in, as somebody who has experienced the best and worst of your levels as a streamer and a submitter, allow me to give you some advice on the matter. I will discuss two topics: queue management and fairness. First, set up a queue bot. This is necessary, as managing a queue by hand while also playing the levels is simply not feasible. A lot of people will not even bother submitting if there's no bot. The best option out there is viewer levels. It's simple to set up and does everything one could need. If you have a knack for tech, then you could try Kezo Queue. If viewer level suddenly disappears and you don't want to deal with setting up Kezo Queue, then break glass in emergency, use Warp World. It's an unreliable piece of shit software, but it's better than nothing. When it comes to setting the queue rules, it's situational, but the goal is always the same. Give everybody who submits a fair chance to see their level played. If you get low viewership and only as many levels as you can play on the same stream, then I recommend taking an all next approach. Due to the fact above, people can rest assured their level will be played, and they can just wait at the end of the queue until you get there. It's important in this scenario to close the queue when it gets too full. This puts people who come later at a disadvantage, which is the drawback of this queue scheme. The few caveats of this approach. If you can't finish the queue for some reason, then in this scenario it's a big deal. People spent a lot of time in your stream waiting for their turn, expecting their levels to get played, and that time has gone to waste now. In this situation, if you're stoic, these people will feel like they got scammed. But it's something that can be resolved easily. Simply apologize and keep the remaining levels in the queue for the next stream. It's not ideal, but it shows that you understand that things have gone awry and that you care enough to offer some degree of remedy. To mitigate the advantage of viewers who just happen to get to your stream around the time you start, you can add a few randoms or weighted randoms into your level rotation. Once you start getting swarmed by submissions and you find yourself closing the queue so early that most people who show up later in the stream don't get a chance to submit, it's time to change strategies. There are two main ways to handle this. Switch to a predominantly randomized way of selecting levels and keep the queue opened. Everybody gets a chance, but the drawback is that nobody is guaranteed to get a playthrough. The other is to implement a persistent queue. This means that you keep the submissions in the queue in between streams. People are guaranteed to get their levels played, they just might have to wait several streams. The drawback is that this could stifle new people joining your streams, as the way most submitters find streams they like to come back to and just hang out in is looking for streamers who play their levels well and come back if they like what they see. If they don't get a good chance of seeing their levels played when they first join a stream, they will be less likely to choose your stream over others. The best way to deal with this is something the legend Highly Andred implemented when he still streamed: simply give new viewers a guaranteed priority play. There are some common ways of handling queue management, but it's your stream, your rules. Implement your own grand design if you think you can think of something better. Just remember, the goal with queue management is to make sure no viewer feels scammed out of their time when they submit to you. The good news is, it's your stream, therefore your rules. You're the boss and you get to do what you want. If you only play levels that are personally attributed to you, have a 2.71% clear rate specifically, and feature at least 7 Yoshi kills, that's your prerogative. But like with all good things, there's a caveat. Instead of explaining, I'll illustrate it with a helpful analogy. You move into a new neighborhood, get a neat little house, but notice that your front yard is exposed to the street like in dumb American house design. So, you decide to erect a fence. You call your lawyer to check the local statutes to see if this is okay to do, and he confirms that you're in the clear. You buy the material, build the fence using time, energy, and expertise over a few days, and revel in the glory of the new sturdy barrier between you and everybody else. The next day, demolition guys hired by the town come and tear your fence down, informing you that there's a no fence law in effect. You complain that you specifically checked, and they respond with, yeah, it's not written down, but it's something everybody in town knows. By the way, you're also responsible for cleaning up the rubble. How would you feel? You set the rules, but unless you're upfront about them, you're a scumbag. If somebody sends you a level that fits all your posted rules, they will expect a fair for playthrough, meaning you do your level best to clear the level and don't quit unless you get hopelessly stuck or you're making progress, but after a fair amount of time find that you hate playing the level. There's a few common things that you should communicate in either your stream title, description, panels, or a rules command. Not everybody likes the same things. A lot of people who start streaming viewer levels realize that their bubble is not the world. If you don't specify the types of levels you like to play, you will get a mix of traditional levels, cute little gimmick levels, platformers, kaizo, precision, trolls, puzzles, garbage, and intentional time wasters, among others. As long as all you communicate outward is viewer levels, add. All of these are valid submissions and submitters will be expecting a fair effort playthrough. The best place to communicate genre restrictions is in the stream title. The other options are fine too, but this is the clearest.
We did it right there, let's go! Yeah, I could have just reset. I know I could have reset, but you know, it's soft lock. The soft lock. Alright, 3 more tries.
A lot of streamers set a time limit to viewer levels. I have my own subjective view on what a fair way to do this is, but that's the topic of another video. The point is, if you don't have a clearly communicated time limit, viewers will find you quitting their levels arbitrary and objectionable, unless it's for the obvious reasons. The best way to communicate a time limit is mentioning it in the panels and displaying a countdown on screen during playthroughs. It's important that this is specifically a countdown, since instead of an explanation, let's do this instead. I'm showing you 4 upward counting timers. Each of these have a specific purpose and each are different. Can you tell what they are for?
Alright, I'm gonna give up. I mean, it's not happening.
Some people are fine playing any levels for the duration of their timers, others prefer only to receive levels that they can hope to finish on stream. If you're in the latter category, then you need to let the viewer know what range of difficulties you're comfortable playing. The best place to put this information is in the stream title, although if your rules are more complicated, it might make sense to relegate them to the panels. As far as how you express that difficulty, there are many options. You can describe the kind of things you cannot or will not do. No shard tricks please, no lineups please, no double reclaims into momentum cancel trump jumps into pipe entries with one side kaizoed off please. This is specific, which is good in terms of clarity, but restrictive in terms of what it rules out. Some smartest viewers might still submit stuff that you can't do and rightfully expect you to try it unless it becomes clear on stream that you just won't be able to do it. Then you can use clear rates, but this comes with a caveat. Different clear rates in different level genres mean different things. You only want to play 2% plus levels? Seems reasonable at first, but this will rule out, for example, most troll levels, which are easy to play, but will kill you a lot, resulting usually in a 1% to 2% clear rate. And it leaves room to some difficult puzzles that might be ungodly hard, but fully resettable and don't kill the player usually with anything else other than the timer. My recommendation is to start with a more permissive restriction and over a few streams, refine it based on the levels you had to play through that you would rather have filtered out. My final note on the subject is simply this. While streaming viewer levels comes with a little bit more responsibility than streaming non-interactive content, the goal is still to have fun. You set the rules, which means you get to change them. Between starting out and getting a fully developed feel as to what you feel comfortable doing on stream, there can be a fair amount of time. So don't be afraid to change the rules accordingly. Here's a few topics that I couldn't really integrate into the script above, but would like to talk about briefly anyway. If you stream viewer levels and set your chat to followers only, you're technically within the bounds of the you set and communicate the rules for your own stream category, but subjectively I will judge you as a jackass for doing so. It essentially says, I'm doing this to get number to grow. It's an ultimatum to potential new submitters, and given how I rarely see a stream like this with more than 3 viewers, you can guess as to how that ultimatum is taken. If you quit a level based on a secret role, you're a shithead, no two ways about it. But you can still make it worse by going into the viewer's profile and rummaging through their levels to find something that you'd rather play. You might think of this as compensation, but it's just insult to injury. There are levels to the degree this can be hurtful, but it's a long conversation that can be preempted by simply not behaving this way at all. Don't boo viewer levels unless it's intentional garbage meant to be booed. The maker is right there paying attention to you. You can say all the constructive criticism you want directly to them. At the same time, don't feel compelled to like a viewer level just because it was submitted to you. If you didn't genuinely enjoy the experience, then the level doesn't deserve the like. That's all I have to say about this topic for now, but if you have any questions or remarks, feel free to comment in the comment section. Goodbye.